I'm fighting hard to keep the lead in this crazy race, then this happens. You might wonder what I'm doing in the middle of this marsh, and well, I'm starting to wonder that myself. But soon a 5k race that goes through this marsh will start, and I finished second last year, and although it's super wet and cold running through these marshes, I couldn't resist coming back to see what I can do this year. Oh! I thought I ran the world's wettest race last year, but this year it's for sure wetter out here. The race takes place in a Norwegian forest, and you run 2 laps on this 2.5 kilometer course that, besides some shorter sections on gravel road, is going through some pretty extreme marsh areas. The race starts with by far the easiest and fastest section of the course going down this gravel road. It wasn't my plan, but for some reason I take the lead. Quite quickly I see this guy coming up next to me, and this is Alfred. He's one of the athletes that I coach, and being one of the best 18-year-old orienteering runners in the world, he's for sure one of the favorites in this race. Looking back, there are a lot of guys following behind Alfred and me, and I try to not push too hard this early. This is actually the first running race I'm doing in a very long time. Since me and my wife had twins, I have focused very little on my own training and racing, but I have tried my best to keep a decent shape. But knowing that my training background is far from what it was last year running this race, I'm really uncertain of how my body will respond as we get to the tougher sections of the course. My tactic is to stay with the front guys as long as I can. There I get passed by last year's winner of this race, Ulrik Lolland, a really good runner with a 14:40 as a personal best in the 5000 meter. So Ulrik is for sure a better runner than me, but I think that this race will play more into my strengths as soon as we leave this gravel road and head into the forest. This is where the race starts for real, and I can see Alfred pushing the pace as we head into the forest, and I decide to try to pass Ulrik and move into second position to make sure that Alfred doesn't get a gap this early into the race. And this was such a fun part of the course, pushing through the trees, trying to run fast behind Alfred here. And so far I was feeling great, but I was a bit nervous about heading into the first marsh section. As you can see, it gets wetter and wetter, and the pace gets quite a bit slower in this part of the course. It's such a weird feeling trying to run fast through a marsh like this. You lose your rhythm all the time, and it's hard to keep your momentum and keep your pace. But I think I found a pretty good way through the marsh, and all of a sudden I'm back in the lead. I quickly check back and can see that both me and Alfred have a little bit of a gap back to Ulrik, so I decide to move up in front and just try to keep up the pace and push as hard as I can while not burning out my legs completely. I was actually feeling super good so far and was surprised and happy that my legs were responding so well, and it was really cool to be back racing and actually be in the lead of this race. But I was also a bit worried that I had started out too optimistic, but I still decided that for as long as I didn't feel that I was pushing the pace too hard, I would try to keep the lead. Here I managed to get stuck a bit, but I'm happy that no one passed me. A real challenge running this race was to avoid those parts of the marsh where you just completely get stuck. Not only do you lose a lot of time on that, it's also cost a lot of energy getting back running again. I can feel that there are runners just behind me, and I fight hard to keep moving, but there's a slight disadvantage running in front because the runners behind you can see where you get stuck and avoid those parts. I once again get really stuck in the marsh and can see that Alfred takes his chance to pass me and find a way better place to run. It was so mentally tough to try to start moving again when Alfred was flying past me. And this was the first time of the race that I started to feel tired. It's so easy to get a lot of lactic acid in your legs when you have to crawl back up again and start running. I try my best to keep in contact with Alfred, but as soon as we hit this next gravel road section, Alfred starts pushing the pace, and I feel that I have to leave a bit of a gap to not blow out my legs completely, since it's still so far to go. I'm hoping that I can catch up with him in the next tough marsh section. As you can see, this is not the fastest part of the course, and both me and Alfred are struggling to just get through here. But I think that I might have come a bit closer again. But to be honest, my legs really started to feel the pain at this point of the race. But I feel that it's still manageable, so I don't want to let Alfred go completely. As I have a quick look back here, I can see that Ulrik is just behind us as well. So it looks like this race will be between the three of us. Ulrik seemed to have turned up the pace and passes me again here, and he directly tried to move into leading position and pass Alfred as well. At this point, getting close to the halfway mark, we are again very close, all three of us, and I want to give it my best to try to keep in contact with Alfred and Ulrik. As we run up this hill towards the halfway mark, this is where I really start to feel that my training hasn't been as good as I wanted to be the last year. Because in my mind I feel that I should just manage to follow Ulrik and Alfred, but my legs are telling me that this pace will be hard to maintain for another lap. So I decide to let them go a bit, thinking that if I avoid blowing out my legs completely, I can at least maintain a decent pace and my third position, and if one of the guys in front get tired, I might have a chance to get back into the race. So this second lap becomes a pretty lonely lap for me, fighting in my third position through the forest and marshes. But I gotta say that I actually really enjoyed pushing through this beautiful forest and finally being back racing again. While running here, I also really hoped that Alfred was going to be able to outrun Ulrik and take home the victory for our club. The second lap is even tougher than the first because so many runners have ran through the marsh. Also you start to lap people, making it hard to find good places to run. And if you thought I got stuck badly on the first lap, here I get stuck even worse and actually have to use this tree to get back moving again. Running into this last tough marsh of the course, I can see that Ulrik and Alfred are battling it out up there in front, and I can feel the coach inside me taking over and have to yell to Alfred that he should keep fighting all the way to the end. I'm really hoping that Alfred can take home the victory to our club. And for myself, I just try to keep fighting as well to keep my third position, and coming into this last part of the race, this was once again such a fun race to run. So if you think about doing a race or just a training run on some tougher surfaces than the road, I can really recommend it. Besides being a lot of fun, it's actually such great training and will for sure get your heart rate up. Coming into the finish in third position, I'm happy with my race, but I just want to know if Alfred or Ulrik took the win. So it turns out that Ulrik took home the victory this year as well, so a huge congrats to you. I have to come back next year better prepared and see what I can do then. If you want to see me racing a half marathon on a frozen lake, you can click here. As always, thanks for watching, train smart, have fun, and I will see you in the next video.